Like a Daniel come to judgment, the judiciary has intervened in the political jigsaw involving the Labour Party across the country. You know, Justice Inefficiency of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to accept the nomination of candidates of the Labour Party in 24 states ahead of the coming general election. It must do so manually or through its electronic nomination portal. Justice Ekwa said INEC violated sections 31, 33, and 36 of the Electoral Act 2022 in rejecting the party's candidates on grounds of non-functioning nomination portals in the 24 affected states. Jide, you wonder if Machiavelli was correct when he said politics has no relation to morals.
Yeah, you know, laws are meant to be obeyed. You cannot punish the Labour Party for your own inefficiencies. I found the excuse given by INEC that as a result of its non-functional electronic nomination portal, Labour Party could not visit the portal to submit the
names,
a list of the names of his candidates in those states. That's like punishing Labour for your own inefficiency. And the judge is saying, look, whether manual or by electronic module, you must accept this candidate because it's not their fault that they couldn't get through that they couldn't use the portal to upload the list of their candidates because you admitted that at that time that the portal malfunctioned. So you can't then punish them because if it had not malfunctioned, they would have been able to upload those names and those guys will have met the deadline. But in this case, it's not their fault. You admitted that this was what happened. So the judge felt, look, INEC had breached section 36 of the
Electoral Act.
Yes, breached section 31 as well as 33. You know, so it makes sense to go ahead and have those guys listed amongst candidates for the elections. And we are talking about 24 states here. It will have been
quite two-thirds of the states.
A big injustice if the court had not stepped in to say, look, there was exchange of letters. Labour explained what transpired. You have admitted that indeed your portal had issues. So why would you then punish them for their inability to make use of the portal at that time to do the job of front-loading their candidates?
Yeah. Emeka, in law, interpretation is key. So we cannot but be thankful the judiciary has stepped in here.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that INEC, a number of INEC officials have appeared to have a poor understanding of what the Electoral Act says and what the Constitution says. So you see it in their conduct, in terms of nominations, in terms of the handling of the PVCs, in terms of a number of other things. It shows poor understanding, and this has kept the courts overburdened with simple issues that could have been sorted out by INEC. And this tells a lot about, glaring inefficiencies in INEC's operation. It also calls to question how committed INEC is to ensuring free, fair, and credible elections. Because if your officials could brazenly try to deny candidates, Labour Party candidates in 24 states of nomination, then because your portal malfunctioned, then we can imagine other infractions not mentioned that have been committed by INEC. I think in this, I hope the National Assembly, I've said this before, I hope the National Assembly would consider inserting punishments, stiff punishments for electoral officials, INEC officials who commit some of these infractions. Because it appears they just get away with some of these things. They even get rewarded. You see, things done by INEC officials deliberately out to sabotage the electoral system. And the court just says, okay, do this or do this. But there is no punishment. And when there is no punishment, you find impunity. This should be a case. Whoever at the national level of INEC sanctioned this ought to be punished. In fact, ought to be removed.
Yeah.
Because this is really embarrassing. You have kept these people out of the electioneering process. This is just how many days to the elections. How do you now want them to begin to prepare, to begin to participate, to campaign, and do all of that? Within what space of time? You have breached their constitutional rights, and it's unacceptable. In the electoral, there must be stiff punishments. There must be stiff punishment for people, INEC officials, who engage in such unconstitutional and brazenly criminal acts.
Gide, but it's quite a big problem, not punishing bad behavior here. Because as he has just said, it is one thing to make a pronouncement. It's another thing to punish wrongdoing. It's only natural.
Yes, and at INEC there are so many black legs. So many of them, they don't follow the...
Of course, they are Nigerians.
Yes, the Nigerian factor gets in the way of their work. INEC rule book is there, but they don't follow the rule book to the letter. For example, INEC rule book says where election is characterized by violence at any polling unit, the results from there should be cancelled. But we saw INEC in Kogi, in Bayelsa, during the off-season elections, return results from even places where the evidence of violence was staggering. So these guys are the problem. And when INEC said it made sense to be using academics for the conduct of his elections, we saw a professor blatantly rig election in Akwa Ibom State. So
because I did.
Well, if I talk now, your governor will complain.
Go on, I beg.
So, and this thing is not just because INEC likes to use ad hoc staff. For example, I suggested to INEC before that, for off-season elections, why should you use ad hoc staff? Use your own full-time staff that their states are not far away from the state where you have the off-season election. What are they doing at that time that you can't use them, that you have to use ad hoc staff? These ad hoc staff have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Unlike a public servant who had been working for years and he knows the implication of reputational damage and all that. So why don't you just do what is right? If there's an off-season election in Ondo State and Ekiti has not got an off-season election at that time, why not take staff from even Ogun State? Take them, let them go and control. Why must you use ad hoc staff? And this ad hoc staff, a lot of them work with politicians to compromise the process. INEC knows this.
Even the mode of recruiting them is also...
I don't even know how they recruit some of these people, honestly, but it's clear that a lot of them are agents of politicians. You saw what happened in Osun State, where the law says that beavers shall be the accreditation module, the electronic accreditation module, and only people accredited by beavers shall be allowed to vote in an election. And we saw a situation in which people clearly were not captured by Beavers, Beavers ended up voting. Whereas that was the basis upon which, yes, that was the basis upon which Akpabio lost his election in Akwa Ibom to Ekpeyong. Because INEC simply presented the record that shows that, look, the card reader created this number of people. You know, not as high as the 50,000 that you brought.